address the elephant in the room. We're both sick.
So like, I'm gonna make really gross noises.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna be sniffling, we're gonna be clearing our throats. I sound like a mix between a frog and a squeaky toy.
I just sound like I'm congested.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Floor Sits. So far this is a very messy episode, but we're here and we're going to be talking to you today about, because it's Valentine's month, we're going to be talking to you today about being single, how to embrace being single, the struggles of being single, the best parts of being single. And we're going to talk about all of them while my dog drives us absolutely batshit crazy because he's adorable, but he's annoying. And this is why I'm single. This is going to take so long. We've been recording for 5 minutes and we've said
Should
nothing.
we just stop it and retry?
Probably. Take 785. We're gonna do this now because my dog is crazy and we're just gonna go for it. You guys may recognize Sydney. Sydney's been in a few of my videos, a good handful of my videos before.
It's been a while.
What?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. And today we're gonna be doing a floor sits video because I really love to do these with other people. And since it is the season of Valentine's Day and love and affection, especially from the puppy variety, but since it's the month of Valentine's Day and love and everybody, you know, is very aware of love at this time of year, we thought we would talk to you guys about the entire spectrum of being single, from being the struggles of being single, to embracing being single, to the good parts of being single, to the not even caring about being single. So since we are both single people, we have been single for a while, long time. We figured that we had some like good insight, and we're both pretty like strong, independent women who don't need no man or significant other. So we are going to just kind of talk. We don't really have an outline for this, as we usually don't. But yeah, so we're just going to talk to you guys about being single, and I guess we can talk about, to start it off on a positive note, about being single and being happy to be single. And even though it's not always constant, it's not always a constant love of being single, but I think for the most part you and I are both pretty satisfied with like where we are in life. Yeah, and it's like, of course everybody has moments, and that's why we're doing this video now, because it's like Valentine's Day comes around and it's like everybody's posting cute pictures with their significant other and you're sitting there like, alone. But since we're both relatively like confident in our singleness 90% of the time. So what is it, do you think, that makes you feel that way?
I think it's because I know myself and I've been able to do things that I know would definitely have been harder if I wasn't single. For the past 2 years almost, I've lived in different places for 4 months and then moved somewhere else. And like if I had somebody else somewhere, that would have
been really hard to do.
Yeah, like I don't know if I would have studied abroad if I had somebody back in Nashville that was like, I'm gonna miss you.
Yeah, and I think I've done kind of the same thing, because Sydney's been to like different countries since in the past couple of years, but I did the same thing where like I moved to LA like having no friends and family really out here at all, and I think having had someone that I was tied to would have made that a lot harder. And I think too, for the majority of my life, I've been through quite a lot, and I know Sydney has too, just been through like different life scenarios, and for me it's just never really been a priority to be in a relationship.
Exactly.
And it's always been like, I had so many career things I wanted to do, I, you know, had family stuff that I was dealing with, and when my friends were all like in and out of a ton of relationships, I felt like my focus was just elsewhere. It wasn't that I was like intentionally excluding myself from being in a relationship, but I was so focused on other things that like, unless someone like outrageously special came along, I just didn't really like feel the need to like interrupt the projection I was on to like involve with other people. It's not that I didn't have crushes and I didn't have people I liked, and like it just was like it was never a priority for me, and I never felt, and maybe it has a lot to do with the way that like we were brought up. Like my mom, like as much as my mom like wishes that I could find someone, but like my mom never really like pushed on me that was something that made me valuable. Like it was always like, I had great friends, I had, you know, my family, I did well in school, I had great career projections, and it was never like this pressure that was put on me to like add value to myself as a person by having a relationship. Like I was very lucky in that way, and I think a lot of people grow up and don't have that from their families or from people around them that's like, why aren't you in a relationship? Why aren't you doing blah, blah, blah? And like, of course, like, we both get those questions,
Yeah.
but, like, at the same time, like, my mom and, like, my stepdad and, like, my family, like, never put this pressure on me to, like, be in a relationship and to find a boy to spend my life with when I was, like, I think, like, we're so young, and I think both of us,
So
like,
young,
recognize that we're so young, but we feel like we're older, so it's, like,
I feel
neither
like
of
I'm
us
45
want,
years old.
yeah, I don't think either of us want this, like, kind of pointless relationship.
No,
like,
there's no point.
Yeah, and I'm like, I just don't have, like, this desire to be with someone that I don't really connect with, and it's, like, I want to, like, of course, have fun, like, I want to, like, go out, have fun, flirt, whatever, like, everybody does. But at the same time, I'm like, I see so many of my friends in these, like, horrible relationships over the, like, time that I've been alive. Like, a lot of my friends are now in very healthy relationships, but, like, growing up, I had, like, friends who were in these, like, horrible relationships that you would watch and you were like, how is that worth any of your time? Yeah. And I think it also, like, turned me off to being in those, like, relationships where I was like, I just want to wait until someone's really nice to me.
Yeah.
So
I think I would rather be with fewer people and have my heart broken less times than be with people that I don't really want to be with, because I'm going to change so much and I have things that I want to do, and now that those things are, like, happening, you're like, okay, I'm more open to it at this.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I'm at that point too, where like, it's like, I've moved to LA, my career has started, I feel like I'm in a good place, and I feel now that, like, I'm much more open to it than I have been in the past. Yes. I think my life is at, like, a relatively stable point now, whereas for a lot of growing up, it wasn't that stable, so it was always, like, it felt like if I wanted to get where I was going, like, veering off in these, like, relationship paths would only slow me down, and I was, like, so desperate to get away from what I was that, like, I needed to get to a place. And now that I've gotten there and I feel comfortable, I feel much more open to the idea of, like, trying new things and, like, meeting new people. And
it'll happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, and I think that too. And, like, I think a lot of the times, this is something random, but I want to talk to you because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I feel like you're gonna totally be on the same vibe as me for this.
Watch, I'll be like, no.
So I've been thinking a lot about, like, I had a conversation with a friend one time, and he was like, we were, like, joking around, and it was like, why don't people want to date me? It was basically, like, me joking around. And it was just, like, basically, like, you're too intimidating. And I hate that word, because I think that there's a difference between people being intimidated by you and you being intimidated. Because it's like, or intimidating, because it's like, being a successful, like, confident, strong woman, like doesn't mean that, like, I should lessen that because other people are intimidated by me.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like that's been frustrating, because that's, like, what a lot of people say is, like, oh, you're just so intimidating, nobody wants to date you. And I'm like,
sorry. Sorry.
That's your fault. That's not my fault. And it's like, and it's almost like a thing that people say, especially to women a lot of the times, as, like, a way to be like, you know, tone yourself down a little bit, and then people will like you.
There
and
will
it's
be
like,
somebody that likes you for those things.
Exactly. And I'm like, I don't have time for, like, it's like, and I used to, like, internalize that a lot and be like, I am too intimidating because I, like, do all these things, and, like, I should be, like, more open. And now that I, like, look back on it, and I'm like, that's not my fault that someone's intimidated by me. Like, if I'm intentionally being intimidating, where I'm being like, don't talk to me, blah, 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 and, like, I'm not doing that. At least I'm not actively doing that. I might be doing that subconsciously, but, like, at the same time, it's like, it's not my fault that other people are intimidated by me. And I don't mean that as, like, a cocky, like, I'm great and everybody just likes me and it's their fault. But it's like,
you're being you.
Yeah, it's like, I'm being me, and if people are intimidated by that, I can't help that. Like, I'm not gonna change the fact that I have ambition. I'm not gonna change the fact that, like, I like to get up and get dressed in the morning, and I know how to assert myself in a business meeting, and, like, you know, like, I am not gonna, like, sit there and just, like, be like, I'm not gonna do that. That's just not me. Which, if that's, like, there's nothing wrong with being that way, but that's just not me. So for people to be like, you're just too intimidating, it's
I'm not gonna be dependent on the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna be the girl that's like, oh my god, like, tell me all the things about you. Let me just touch you every single.
Can I ask your permission to go do things? Like, that's not gonna be
like, I'm gonna do this. If you want to come, yeah, that'd be great. You should come.
Exactly. And I think that that's, like, such an interesting thing that I've thought about it a lot over the past, like, week. Is just, like, being intimidating is not the same, or, like, as people being intimidated by you. And my dog is just like on the ball here. He's like, yes, queen. Yes, queen, preach. That was kind of a side tangent, but I think that's an interesting thing because I think there's probably a lot of people watching this, guys and girls, who have probably been told that they're too intimidating. And I just like want you to know that like that's not something that is your fault. Like it's not something that like you need to change about yourself in order for people to love you. Like if you're being authentic and you're being you and you're being genuine and you're out there and you're crushing it and people are like intimidated by how great you are, like take that as a compliment and freaking run with it. Because that is the best thing I think that somebody can say is like, oh, look at you. Like it basically means that they think you have your stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, and that's cool. It's like you might not. But
you might not at all.
Like 23 years old and no one has their life together at 23 or 21 like, or 22. You just turned 22. So don't let people tell you that you're intimidating and internalize that, because unless you're being intimidating, then it means like that you're like looking at somebody and being like, don't talk to me, I'm better than you, I don't want anything to do with you. Don't do that. But don't let somebody make you feel like you need to make yourself smaller in order to like be loved, because that's not true. Because the people who will be worth your time will be the ones who will be attracted to that. Like I think the more you are yourself and the more authentic you are, the more you attract people who are similar to you.
I think the healthiest relationships are when people look at each other obviously equally.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not any more important than your significant other, and they're not any more important than you.
And you like have to be two independent people, right? Or you're distracting a very deep conversation.
Okay, I'm listening to you. I'm just gonna pet your dog while I do.
But I had a real asshole of a teacher in high school, and this is gonna go somewhere, I promise, who was just like such a jerk. He knew he was a jerk. He embraced it. It was kind of one of those things where it was a love-hate relationship with his teacher. And he was pretty pretentious, but he also was pretty wise. And so he said one day, we were talking to him, and basically somebody made like a comment about like, how do you have a wife? Because he just seems, because he seems like the kind of dude who is like not gonna be into that situation. Like he just was like a super academic guy who just like was like so completely like outrageously intelligent. So he just seemed like the kind of guy that like wasn't social. And so when somebody in the class like asked like how do you have a wife, like how did you meet your wife? And he just like talked about that, but then he also talked about how like he and his wife, he was like, a solid relationship is two independent people who prefer to spend their time together. And it's like that has stuck with me since high school. It's because it's like they like choose to do life together, but they would be perfectly fine doing life apart. And I think that's so important. And I don't think that I have found someone that like I feel like I didn't need to take care of. And like that's huge for me. And so it's like, because relationships can really get in that space of you need to like baby them, or you need to be their parent, or you like need, you know, they're doing things that like you feel like you have to take care of them emotionally or physically. And like I have done a lot of that in my lifetime with different people, family members, friends. And so like that is something that is like definitely not what I want in a relationship. So I think a lot of that has also kept me from being in a relationship, because I'm like, most boys my age are babies.
Notice we didn't use the term men.
I was like, they don't like, I mean, they don't really, a lot of them don't like take care of themselves in a way that I really need, and I need reciprocated. And like, we're both gonna be adults, and we're both gonna have adult conversations about our emotions, and we're both gonna have adult conversations and make decisions together.
Most guys are like, oh my god, no one's talking to me about emotions.
And like, it's not true of all men, but it's true of a lot of people, and a lot of people that I have like talked to over the course of my life, it's felt that way, where it was like there needed to be a lot of effort on my end to meet them where they were, and no stepping towards me. And so I think it's okay for you to say like, I don't want to be in a relationship where someone's not also walking towards me. And I think that that's a huge thing that a lot of people think like chasing after someone is romantic, and it's like, okay, it is, but only if they're chasing you back. And it's like, okay, everybody's gonna run at different points.
There's
like,
no fun in trying to be with somebody who doesn't really want to be with you.
Yeah, and it's like, and it can totally be that it has nothing to do with you. It just has to do with the fact that like they're not capable of loving you the way that you need to be loved. And like, It could be that they care about you. It could be that they're a great person. And that's almost the hardest thing, is like when you like really like someone and they're not a bad person, but they do something that like makes you not compatible anymore. But you're like, they didn't like, it wasn't like they killed your dog. It was like, they just don't, like, you're just not compatible anymore. And that's like more frustrating because you're like, you didn't do anything bad. Like, I can't like hate you because you cheated or you did something horrible. It's just like, it doesn't work out anymore.
We're not on the same
like,
level.
Yeah, and it's like, it's hard to watch people kind of also stay in those relationships out of like convenience. And it's like, feel like
if it's not working, man up and say it's not working. Like, you're gonna find somebody else. You're not gonna be alone.
Yeah, and it's like, and even if you are, you have to get to a point where you have to be okay with that.
You're okay.
And that's like, and it's way easier said than done, but like you have to get to a place where like you're complete on your own. And it's like, but I do also want to say, I hate the expression like you can't love someone else until you love yourself.
No, it's not.
Because I think that you can love other people before you truly love yourself. But I think it's a way more like holistic love if you find a way to say like, I'm complete on my own and this is an addition to my life rather than this completes my life. Like, you can have this whole incomplete life that has this like awesome extra bonus on top of it. Like, you should, you know, like it should be able to like take that away, because like God forbid something horrible happen, like you can't put yourself in a position where like you can't support yourself emotionally. Like, you've got to be able to say like, I love this person, I care about this person, I would do anything and unconditionally love this person. But if something happened, like they were tragically hit by a bus and died, like you have to be able to like carry on by yourself. And I think that's like so important. And especially like people worrying about being single is like, well, like find other ways to like complete your life. And I think people will be attracted to that.
Like, what do
He does this all day, every day. My dog currently is in my lace curtain with it on his head like a bridal veil. Say, oh yes, oh thank you. Oh, did you come down the aisle? Are you getting married in our single video?
I was gonna say something and Ryan made me laugh and I can't remember what I was gonna say. I also think like with people being okay with being single, I don't look at it like I'm gonna be single forever. I look at it like I'm single right now.
Yeah.
And I think that things happen when you least expect them to happen.
Yeah.
And that it's things you'll look back on and be like, that was an actually really important moment. And I had no idea at the time. So as long as you're like living life and doing things that you want to do, and like, for example, when I was in London, I did a lot of stuff by myself. And because I did stuff by myself, I grew as a person. I did what I wanted to do, and I left like without any regrets. And I had friends that were like, oh, I didn't have anybody to do that with, so I didn't do it. Think of life the same way. If there's something that you want to do,
do
it.
You have to do it. And it's like, you never know what can come of that either. Like, you never know. Like, I have realized that since I had my accident a few months ago, like some just like crappy stuff transpired like during and after. Oh god. But it like completely opened my eyes to this idea of like taking care of myself and being like I always thought that I was better at taking care of myself than I was. And it's like things like that where like being alone, like because I didn't have family here, I didn't have a ton of friends here, like I'm still pretty new to LA, so I spent a lot of time alone. And I like came to this like realization of like what it is that I really want. Like, it's like I want someone who, I've said this like this analogy before, it's just like someone who's gonna take a step towards me. Like, it's like I am in total uncharted territory when it comes to relationships. Like, you understand? Like, I have never been in a serious relationship. And so it's like I'm in totally uncharted territory where like I know that I'm an intelligent person and like 85% of my life, but this is something I know nothing about. So what I'm looking for is someone who can take a step towards me and me not have to like run after and be like doing all of this work. Is just somebody that can like meet me in the middle, like meet me where I am. And I think this idea of like settling, of being like, you're too picky or your standards are too high or you're too, and it's like, but like,
people tell me that all the time.
One of my friends, Allie, who now is like engaged to a really wonderful guy who was a lot like us, who was single for most of her life, and like finally found this like wonderful, amazing guy in a like time that she wasn't expecting it at all. And like she always says, like, her thing, even before she met Jack, who's her current fiance, was that, like, there's a lot of things in life that are mediocre, but love shouldn't be one of them.
Ooh, I like that.
And I love every time she says that, because it's, like, a good reminder of, like, there are so many things in life that are going to be mediocre. Like, your job might not always be what you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you may not have the best friendships. Sometimes things with family happen. Like, sometimes life just gets in the way, but, like, you shouldn't go home at night and, like, feel like you're in a relationship with, like, a friend.
Yeah.
Like, and I think there's, like, as you grow older, like, I'm not so starry-eyed to the idea of love that I think that love, like, is the same for the rest of your life. Like, I think love ebbs and flows and it changes, and like, you may marry someone and then, like, 10 years later you have to, like, re-fall in love in a new way because you're totally different people. But, like, at the same time, it's like, your relationship shouldn't start mediocre. Like,
no,
I feel like that's...
I want to get swept off my feet in every sense of the word.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't feel like that's, like, too much to ask, and I feel like it has to be mutual. Like, it has to be this, like, mutual love of, like, it's not just a guy coming after you and saying, like, all these wonderful things and doing all these wonderful things for you, but it should feel like this, like, mutual desire to want to do that for each other, because you, like, want to make each other better, and you want to make each other happy, and it not being just, like, oh, I want to be a princess, and you sweep me off my feet and give me all these gifts and take me all these beautiful places, because, like, that, first of all, it's not reality. This isn't The Bachelor. Like, it's like, you go to Chili's, you don't go to, like, the Maldives. Like, you go, like, you know, like, you have to have a realistic expectation of what love is, and, like...
But I don't get mad at me for this, but I don't think it should start on, like, an app. Like,
oh, yeah.
I wanna, like, if that's where you meet a great person, that's fine, but I don't want to get to know somebody over a phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's... See, I agree with that, because it's like...
I don't want to fall in love with somebody over the phone. So if you meet on an online app, please go meet in person.
Right in the middle. Yeah, no, I totally agree with it. I think that, like, for a certain type of person who's, like, really super outgoing and, like, maybe is more experienced in relationships, dating apps are, like, a great thing. But for, you know, like, because I have tons of friends who've, like, actually met good people that have met them through those. But, like, I am not a dating app type of person. Nope. Like, I feel as though, like, I don't have all of this relationship experience. So, like, the idea of, like, online dating a stranger and, like, is very intimidating to me. And it's like, I don't want to go that route. I would rather meet someone the traditional way. I would rather meet somebody in real life. But that being said, it's a lot easier said than done. Yeah. Like, when you have a really busy job and you have family and you have all these things that you have to deal with and a dog that just won't get out of the frame.
Sometimes when it comes to that, I think it'll kind of come to you if you're just living life the way that you want.
I think, yeah, and I think it attracts people who have similar values and who have similar interests. We've talked a lot about the good parts of being single and how...
the parts, like, we're okay with.
And the parts, yes. And I think there's also some parts of being single that often are difficult.
Yeah.
Where I think one of them for me is, like, navigating that weird gray area of, like, you like someone, they might like you back, but you're not sure, and you have to deal with this, like, weird, awkward gray area of figuring out, like, do you keep pursuing this, or do you stop playing the game? And I hate the game so much. I think the game is the worst. Oh my god. I think that the game aspect of dating is the worst part of being single.
I think it's stupid. Why is it a thing? Why can't you just be like, I like you? Why do you have to be like, you wanna do this?
Let's hang out, let's Netflix and chill. No, I don't want to do the game thing.
If you want to get to know me, freaking tell me, and we'll go have dinner.
Like,
that easy.
We'll hang out. Like, yeah, and that's the thing for me, is I don't like the game. I don't like the back and forth. I don't like the, like, trying to make people jealous. I don't like the like texting aspect, the whole, like, because that's how people communicate. No.
And so the whole, like, is this an okay thing to say? Is it gonna come across weird? Is this
that
I have texted people and I check with, like, 4 of my friends before I send the text.
Yeah, because you're like,
so
I
by the
be
end,
casual enough.
What I wanted to say in the first place.
Yeah, and it's like everybody else's input.
And
yeah, and I think that's the worst part for me, is the game of it all. Of, like, I am not somebody who does well with gray area, and so when it's like, I like you, do you like me, but I don't know how to approach the subject because we may not be as close as like, you start playing the mind game of like, maybe I'm making all of this up, maybe I am just like, and you know, looking into things and and this person doesn't actually like me and they're just being friendly, or like, even like you'll have interactions where you're like totally.
The show The Affair?
No.
It's like, okay, so basically every episode is this, or the ones I've seen anyway, is this scenario between a man and a woman, and it'll play it from her perspective. And she's like, this guy's really gross, please make him leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll play it from his perspective, and he thinks he's like killing the game. He's like doing this, and she's literally like, I hate this, like, please go
leave
away.
me alone. And that's like totally the hardest part is like, especially because it goes into negative self-talk mode. Because you're like, which is, I hate, and like, Ryder, stop. Which I hate because I am a very introspective person.
Yes.
So like, if like you take like the Strengths Finder quiz thing, like it's like my number 2 is I'm very introspective. So if I get a negative spiral, it's like, I'm doing things that are wrong. He thinks I'm weird. He thinks I'm being too forward. He thinks I'm not being forward enough. Maybe I'm just weird. Maybe I'm totally making all this up. And it's that spiral that goes through that you're like, it could be the smallest, tiniest interaction. And if you are like in that weird gray area, you start spiraling. Where you're like, I don't know what to do.
If you have an event that in like your love life that you're like, yep, great, perfect, an interaction that you're like, that was fantastic. And at first you're like, I did a great job, I did it right. And then the longer nothing happens, you're like, wait, let me rethink that. Did I do something stupid? Was I, this is
Did I scratch
really
my
bad.
nose and you thought I was picking it?
Like, did I say something really dumb that I didn't realize was dumb?
And offensive? And and like, I hate that game. And I hate the sometimes the judgment that comes from like friends that you're like, I'm in this situation that I'm not really sure about, and they're like, well, just do something about it. And you're like, stop that. I hate when people say that. They're like, just tell him you like him. And you're like, I can't do that.
Yeah,
that's not, but like, we should be able to do that. And that's the worst part is like, you're like.
It's that fear of them being like,
oh
my God, what?
This crazy person thinks that this has been something it wasn't. And you're like, oh, that.
Because if you want it to be something, there is a chance sometimes, and I think part of this is because I've been single all of my life, that you read into it. Yeah. And for the other person, they were just like being nice. Yes. Because like I do that. Like guys will be like, oh, do you want to? And I was like, oh no, I don't like you. I was just being like nice, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like when you're single, you tend to get like asked out by people you don't want to be asked out by. And you're like, God, because then you're like, oh, nobody ever asked me out on dates, but it's everyone you don't want to ask out on dates.
Can I say to that point, if you don't want to go out with somebody and you're single, if you've never dated somebody, don't. Like, I have people tell me like, oh, you should just give that person a try, but it's like, I don't feel anything. I don't think they're attractive.
Dude,
like,
this is
awkward. You don't have to say yes.
There's no obligation.
You can still be single.
It's fine. And like, I think this is something I dealt with in college, and like we were both in a sorority, we're in the same sorority. We were in the same sorority, and we would have like date parties, and everybody would be like, well, who are you bringing to the date party?
I'd be like,
and I was like, either my friend, who's a girl, or no one.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and I just like, there wasn't anyone in college I connected with. Like, I loved the school I went to, I had the best time at Belmont, but like, the dating pool was small.
Belmont is one guy to every 2 girls, and you're not counting the gay. Yeah. Which is a lot.
Yeah, and it was a very small dating pool, and I just like wasn't into the guys there. I had a couple of guy friends who I like enjoyed spending time with, but none that I was like attracted to. And so it was like everybody would be like, well, like, and I think this can apply to high school and even middle school, is like, who are you bringing to the dance? It's like, you don't have to bring anybody. And like, don't let anybody make you feel bad if you like don't want to do that. Or if you like, I didn't get asked to prom. That's a thing. Yeah. Like, I think everybody makes this like huge deal about like promposals, and everybody needs a prom date, and prom is gonna be the best night of your life. And like prom's coming up.
Prom is gonna be the best night of your life.
And prom is coming up soon for most people in the States. So it's like, don't like get down on yourself if you don't get asked to prom. Like, prom is so not a big deal at all. Like, you can
go to
still
prom if you don't get asked to prom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can buy single tickets. My friend and I bought a date ticket together so we could save money. That was like, and we both went alone. Like, it's totally fine to do that and like go with your group of girlfriends and like, and even if they have dates, like, don't get in this mindset of like, I'm the awkward wheel out. Like, if you put yourself there, you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
Like, and I think you can go and you can have fun and you like, first of all, not having a date to prom was the best.
Yeah.
Because you're not worried about somebody else the rest of the night. I could do whatever I wanted to. I could dance and be stupid and not feel like people, like somebody was watching me that I was like trying to impress. Like, I had so much fun going to prom by myself. And like, would I have gone to prom with someone had they asked? Probably. But like, it's like, don't let that be like, don't let people like shame you for that or like make you feel bad because it's a night that like you might remember. Like, I don't really remember anything.
Be a night.
Oh my god, yes, High School Musical. Like, go watch that and just like deal. That's much better. But like, prom was fun, but honestly, I don't remember 98% of prom, and it wasn't because I was like drunk. It's just that like prom happened, like, and that's it. And it's like, I love the dress I had. That's what you do. Go buy yourself a fantastic dress.
I had protocol, what it was called, and we went 3 years. And my dress for my first one, my sophomore year, I still have it because I'm like, model me a wedding dress after this dress. It was perfect.
Yeah, and it's like, go buy yourself an awesome dress or an awesome tux and like, go be fabulous. Oh, Ryder, gosh. Go be fabulous alone because being fabulous alone is like, everybody's looking at you, you're not claimed, you got nobody attached to you,
exactly.
So all these people looking at you and you're like, I look great and I'm single and all of these people now know I'm available and you can be fabulous. And it doesn't have to be this like big deal. Like, doesn't matter if nobody asks you to date party or you don't want to ask anyone to date party.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't have anybody I wanted to ask. Like, I took a date freshman year, he was awesome, loved him, and he was such a good friend of mine, but like, it was nothing more than that. And it's like, do that if you want to, or if you don't, like, go by yourself and have a great time. Like, don't let that like squash your like self-confidence. Like, go get your makeup done and get a fabulous dress or get like a fabulous costume for these date parties and like go have fun with your friends and like stop putting yourself in that position. I think a lot of Ryder, he's just, look at this, look at the frame. There's just a ball. But I think a lot of us put ourselves in these boxes and like, we're like, oh, I'm the third wheel. Then you become the third wheel. Like if you just like don't put yourself there, you're more likely to not end up in that position.
And if your friends invite you in a situation where you're gonna be the third wheel, they want you to go. If they didn't
like, trust
want you
that
to
they
go,
want you there.
They wouldn't ask.
Yeah, and it's like if they wanted to have date night alone, like they would have date night alone. Like they're not like go and know that you're wanted there and that you deserve to be there and you deserve to take up space and you deserve to be whoever you are, regardless of whether or not you have somebody else on your arm. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I tell you right now, like, it's, especially being younger and watching a lot of my friends, like, be in these relationships, are people I knew at school that, like, were so obsessed with being in relationships. Not a lot of my, like, close friends, but a lot of people I, like, knew in high school were, like, so obsessed with being in relationships, and I was like, it doesn't matter.
No.
None of this matters. Like, it is rare that you find somebody in high school that you want to be with for the rest of your life. That terrifies me.
My parents did. Like, it happens, but like, do not
really
feel bad about yourself if it does not.
Like, I think back to being 16 in high school, and there's not a single boy that I knew at 16 that I would want to date right now. And so it's like, you're gonna grow so much, and you're gonna be a totally different person 5-10 years from now. Like, even 2 years from now, you're gonna be a totally different person. And so, like, stop putting all of this, like, weight on being in a relationship when, like, you don't have any idea who you're gonna be in 2 years. Like, have fun by all means. Like, if you have somebody you connect with and you just want to have fun, like, go for it. But don't, like, put all your self-worth into, like, having this person next to you.
I think it's worth noting that we were supposed to be talking about the hard part of being single, and we rounded back to this, like, it's great, it's okay.
Because that's what you should do.
Yeah,
like, we could talk about how it's hard, and, like, we all have things that are frustrating.
There are certain scenarios that I'm like, man, like, my birthday, not one of those things. Me and my friends went to a fancy hotel and had drinks, and it was great.
We looked great.
But a thunderstorm rolls around.
Oh, wouldn't it be nice to have someone to cuddle?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so, like, I was texting her
mind.
the last thunderstorm, and I was like, I don't really want a boyfriend. I want more like a servant.
Yeah. I just want a little buddy. Like, and it's like, I would love to have someone that I really connect with, like, be a part of my life right now. I feel like I'm at a place where, like, I'm very open to that, and I haven't been that way for many years.
Yes.
And so I feel like I'm totally open to the idea of it coming, but, like, I don't want it to be, like, I'm searching just for whoever will give me attention.
I don't want to look. I want it to happen and me be like, oh,
this is comfortable.
this is a thing that's...
I want it to be comfortable.
I don't want to, like, be in the bar and be like, you see that guy over there with the, like, the green eyes? Like, what about him? Should we, like, should I go over there?
Not to say you can't meet people in a bar,
Yeah.
but, like, it's like, I just want to not...
If I meet somebody in a bar, it will be because my friends and I went to a bar and we were hanging out.
Yep. And it's like...
I'm not going to go hunting.
And I think it's like, and I want to be clear, too, that we're not, like, shaming people doing that. That's that is totally like, it's a personality thing. A lot of the time it's just like, it's not my personality to do that.
Yeah.
But like, if that's how you find successful and healthy relationships that way, like, dude, good on you. Because I wish that would happen for me, that I was comfortable enough in those situations to like be open. Like, I think that's a lot of that situation is like, if you put me in a bar, I'm not like open to getting to know people. I'm like, I'm in a bar and I'm awkward. Like, that's how I feel.
I think
I don't party. So it's like, for me, I'm like there and I want to dance and I want to have fun. But I'm also like, there's a lot of people here who are looking for hookups, and there's a lot of people here who are looking for like a wild night out. And I'm like, I'm in my pajamas 98% of the time. So I'm like, this is just not comfortable for me. So if it's comfortable for you and it's a place that you can open up and like have fun, by all means, but like, don't force yourself into stuff like that if that's not like where you come alive. Like, you don't.
I think a lot of our personality about that is because we've been single and because we're comfortable with it, that we're not like, I need somebody.
And I would want someone. Like, I would enjoy having someone there.
Like,
to be a
if you're single and you go and do that kind of stuff because you feel like you need somebody, that's what this video is about. You don't. It will come when it's supposed to come, and it will be fantastic.
And it has no reflection on your self-worth, like whether or not you're with someone. And I think that's like something that a lot of people get stuck in, and it's like, and I mean, I obviously have those moments. Like, I'm a human being, and I'm like 23 years old. A lot of my friends are like engaged, married, or about to get engaged, or in a serious relationship.
Like
I'm in a wedding in July, like or in June, like. Obviously, there are moments where I'm like, I'm so far behind. I'm 23 and alone.
But then there are moments where I'm like, I'm so far ahead.
And it's like, or it's like, I'm so young. Like, 23 sometimes feels old. And I know there's probably people watching this that are like cracking up at that. But sometimes like, 23 sometimes feels old. It's like, I have an apartment, I have a job, I have a dog, I have bills to pay, I have a, like, you know, a life to live. And it's like, I feel like an adult at 23 years old. And having like, most of my friends have like tons of relationship experience, and me being like, I've had crushes and like sort of kind of maybe a little relationship.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's like
what you choose, what you want to focus on.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of like societal pressure to like, or not even pressure, but like this idea that it's very normal to have had a lot of experience by this age.
Yes.
Like, and I think it's the more people talk about like not having a ton of experience with relationships, like as they're older, like the more you realize there's a lot of people like that. Like if you like come out and you're like, oh, I'm 23 and I've never been in a serious relationship before, people are like, what? Like, that's so weird. But then it's like, no, it's really not. Like, I know a ton of people who have never been in relationships that are my age, and it's like, it doesn't make you weird. It doesn't make you odd. Like, of course I have those moments where I'm like, why can't I just be normal? But then I'm like, I am normal. There's a lot of people who are like me, and you have to reality check yourself a lot, because it's like so much of like what we see on TV and talking to friends and being like, oh, it's like, or you're like watching YouTube couples who are adorable and lovely, like Zalfie. Like Zoe and Alfie are adorable, and I'm like, I want that in my life. That's like my relationship goal, is like this like homebody couple that like loves each other and they're really cute and adorable and successful. Like, that is, I would love that. And I'm like watching them and I'm like, I'm so alone. Like, but then it's like, no, but I'm doing great things too. Yeah. And like, Zoe was like 25, 24 when she and Alfie met. Like
Jade in Little Mix. She has a serious boyfriend now, and they're adorable. She didn't.
And it's like, and it's like, my babe. And like Zoe talks about how she had like one real relationship before Alfie, and he was like really terrible and kind of abusive. And then she like got out of this relationship for a few years, and then like met Alfie, and now they're like living together with a dog and a house and like empires. And it's like, it will come when it's supposed to come, and like, I think you have to be open to it. You gotta remember to be open to it. Like, if it comes along, if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it. But if you're like, I can see this happening, like, don't always talk yourself out.
Yeah, no.
Like, I know that I've done that before, where I've been like, oh, this guy that I like have some interest in is a little bit interested in me, but because I'm like, intimacy,
yeah,
I'm like, no, run away. And it's like, I have definitely been that in the past, and I have done a lot of work since my accident, like working, like even in therapy, which I'm not ashamed to say I go to, is like working through a lot of these things of like, oh, I have put myself in a lot of boxes my whole life where I'm like, I'm the girl who doesn't date. I'm the girl who doesn't blah, 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 blah. And it's like, sometimes you can get yourself stuck in those boxes, and you have to remind yourself that like, not everything outside the box is so scary. And it's like, but just like leave the tap open.
But the key to that is, if you're interested in somebody, please don't go out on a date because you feel like you have to go on a date with somebody you're not interested in.
Or that you like have to waste like even physical stuff. Like I think a lot of girls are like, oh, I'm 17 and I'm still a virgin. And like, girl, like 17 is so young.
I know, like, please,
that's so young. You can like barely drive a car. Like, please just like know that it's like, you are so young, and it doesn't matter what everyone else around you is doing. Like, be safe with your emotions, with your body. Like, just be like confident enough to say like, it will happen when it'll happen, and don't feel like you have to like measure up to this idea of what you're supposed to be. Like, and you know, like sometimes in life things happen where people are really, really awful to you. And like, I know that like, especially in like middle school and stuff, which I know there are a lot of young people that watch me. Like in middle school, I can remember people like asking people out as a dare, and like it being mean.
Gosh, yes.
And like that might happen to you. And I like, fortunately it didn't happen to me, but I've known people that it's happened to. And like, don't let that, like, it's gonna be really hard and it's gonna really suck, but like, I hope that you'll take that and like realize that that's just those people being terrible, and it has nothing to do with you. Don't let it deter you from like actually opening up and being with people, and don't think that everyone is trying to pull a joke on you by wanting to be with you. Like, you're a great person and people should want to be with you. Unless you're one of those people who are doing those jokes, then you're a terrible person and leave. Bye. Not welcome
and
here.
then I also think a good thing for us to maybe talk about is things to do when you are feeling a little lonely and unwanted.
Yes. I think the number one thing to do is to reach out to someone.
Yes.
I'm not good at this. This is advice to myself. I did this the other night with Sydney.
You did.
Where like, and I never do stuff like that.
And
So I'm like, I'm a strong, independent person. I don't need anybody to help.
Took a while. I was like,
yeah, I did. And well, I was driving home, and then I did walk the dog. But I wasn't gonna call Sydney. I was like upset about something. Had to do with stupid boy drama.
Boys.
And I was upset about something, and I called, Sydney was like, call me if you want to, and I was like, totally not gonna call her, but I'm like stewing, and I'm like, I am so angry, and I'm so frustrated, and I'm so upset, and I'm sad, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna call Sydney, and we talked for like 45 minutes, and when it was over, I was like, man, I feel so better. I was like, see, this is good. So like, number one thing is like, reach out to people, like, number two, get out of your head.
Yeah.
Like, because the negative self-talk spiral, it will go downhill so fast, and you're like, I'm ugly and fat and alone and terrible and everybody hates me. Like, immediately find something to do that occupies your mind. Like,
what I like doing is, if available, I grab a friend first. If not, I don't. Either going to somebody's house and having like a dance party, a la the hair music video, or getting in your car with a fun playlist and driving. A lot of Ed.
Yep.
A lot of Little Mix.
Little Mix is a high suggestion.
Little Mix,
they got some like, good jams.
Power.
They got
Salute.
some good. Yeah, they've got some like good screw you songs.
Beep beep.
Some good like anthems.
Yeah, you got some good ones there. And it's completely valid to have times where you're like, boys are dumb.
Oh yeah.
I text
you got it
all the time.
You gotta have those.
Boys are really dumb.
It's like, relationships are hard. Mm-hmm. It's not easy, and it's a choice, and some days you're gonna choose badly, and it's just like, be gentle with yourself, and just know that like, you're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And if you like, find a way to be okay. Own your decisions, and know that you are a whole person, and you're not half a person looking for your other half. I hate that expression. You're not half a person. Like, you are a whole person, and you will find someone who will compliment you and will be like a big old bonus. Like, don't let it be this completion of your life.
I think the more people that like get to know themselves and get to a point where they're stable and are like in a good place life-wise and then date, I think relationships are gonna last longer.
Yeah, I think they're
like
more fun.
You're in a spot where you're like, oh, we both have already achieved things we want to achieve, and this is what
and now we get to celebrate them together.
Yeah,
and like you get to be
and grow together now. Like I've grown as much as I want to by myself. Like
and now we'll grow together, and you can't grow if you don't like. I don't know. Like you can't be like if you have somebody who's holding you back, you can't grow.
Yeah, no.
Like so, it's gonna be way more fun when you don't have to deal with all the drama.
And it happens when it's supposed to happen. I know I've said that a bunch, but like you'll be able to look back on your life and be like, that's why I didn't have a boyfriend. Like London, my #1 experience. Like I want to move there. I want to go back. It was my favorite thing in the entire world. Would not have done it if I wasn't single.
Yeah. And you just like, you gotta keep living through it. You gotta live through the loneliness, you gotta live through the pain, you gotta live through the like confusion. Like you just have to keep living through it, or else you're never gonna get anywhere. Like you're never gonna find someone to be with if you stay in the same place all the time.
Yes.
Like if you don't find anybody in the place you're in, don't just sit there because there's no one there.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna find someone if that's like, and just don't make it your #1 priority. Because that will be, you'll ultimately end up disappointed. Because people are gonna disappoint you. Like it doesn't matter if they're the best person that's ever existed, they're going to disappoint you at some point. And if you aren't stable enough in who you are, that's gonna be devastating to you. Like it could be the most perfect match for you in the world, they're still gonna disappoint you. And you can't put yourself, like your #1 priority being finding this flawless person who's gonna do nothing but compliment and be wonderful to you. Like your #1 priority in life is going to fail. Like that's just being harsh. Like you're going to fail at your #1 priority in life because you're not gonna find somebody who is perfect and who is never gonna mess up. So don't put yourself in a position where your whole self-worth is mapped around another person performing the way you want them to, because they're a person and like they're gonna disappoint you just like you're gonna disappoint them, and like you're gonna fail if that's what your #1 priority is. And that's not a life you want to live, is a life of just like total failure because you set yourself up for it. Like that's harsh, but it's true. Like you're not gonna succeed in life if that's your #1 priority. Like maybe you'll get lucky, but love isn't luck. I don't think love is luck. No. I think it's a choice. I think it's a decision. I think you may meet someone by luck. It may be a circumstance that you meet someone, but like you'll have to wake up every day and choose that person and choose to love that person. And like if you think that that's not reality, like you're gonna have very short relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like it's not gonna be peachy keen all day every day. Like some days are gonna be real friggin' annoying, and you're not gonna talk to them.
Relationships are hard.
And don't have this idea that like someone's gonna come put your broken pieces back
together.
Oh my
gosh.
I hate that. I hate that. Friggin' pick up your own pieces and glue them back together, because like you'll get to create who you want to be, and it's not someone else's creation of you. It's your own creation of you.
I think that saying is more like when you're in a relationship with somebody that you
who will help pick up the pieces.
Exactly.
Who's not going to pick up the pieces, they're going to help
they're
you
going to help
the
you.
pieces.
Yep.
Like they're going to help you put it back together.
They know who you are.
And they know where you want to be, and not like, because if you're falling apart and somebody's putting you back together, guess what? That's their masterpiece, and not your masterpiece. And then when it's not what you want, then it's their fault. Don't do it. Okay. You're complete. You're not broken.
Being single is not bad.
Boom, boom. Well, that was a long floor sits. That was like
so long.
45 minutes. So we'll see how we'll cut this down, if at all. But that was really great. I'm so glad that
we kind of rambled, but
that's okay. But we had good conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, leave questions, thoughts in the response or in the comment section down below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe for more of these. I do them like once a month or so. Let me know like what else you guys want me to talk about on floor sits. I'm always open to suggestions. Some of the best videos I've had have come from you guys. So leave all your suggestions and your questions, and if you need advice or something, maybe we can do an advice episode or something that would be really fun. So
we should check back when we eventually have boyfriends. Be like, this is what we've learned.
This is what we've learned, and this is how. That would be a really cool video. Yeah, we'll get back if we're both in relationships at the same time. We can come back and chat and do stuff. That'd be really fun. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, even though my dog was being a total nuisance.
Oh, he was doing great.
Now he's asleep, so that's fine. At the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you soon. In the meantime, my name is Parker. This is Sydney. This is Stories in the Dust, and I hope you'll stick around a while. Bye, guys.
Bye.